my name is Bibi Hayat. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a designer. I'm also a wife, a daughter, a sister, and a friend to many people who inspire and support me. I own a company that creates and produces and executes events, luxury weddings, as well as luxury corporate events. And I'm very humbled to also own a company called November & Co., which is a cafe and bakery. And we also have a segment which is November Blooms, which is a curated home accessory, gift, and flower boutique. Besides having a large amount of women in our company, out of the over 100 employees, I would say about 45% are women, and we proudly try to hire more and more. I sit, I understand, I listen to the women around me. I'm inspired by the women around me. My clients inspire me, and we work together to create a beautiful event at the end.
Talk to me about how you started.
I feel that I actually have always been this personality. I have always been a host. I've always felt the need to be generous when people come over. I enjoy the excitement of events. I've always been part of fundraisers and projects to create events, be it at home or for other people, through school, through university. I get excited by our events, especially the ones here in the Gulf. The smell of بخور, the smell of rose spray, the smell of قهوة عربية, all of those things, they create an excitement that something great is about to happen. So I always wanted to be part of that. Growing up in a house full of events and happiness and people who really care about happiness and dancing and music, that's also been embedded in my, let's say, DNA. So it didn't start, I've always been. And so I finally have the opportunity to not just do it for me, to do it for other people. And that's a gift, to be honest.
But study-wise, was that something you actually went for when you finished high school and then went to college?
No, and I was about to say unfortunately, but it's not unfortunate because at the time there was only corporate event planning. So that really wasn't a direction I was interested in. I found it just not to my taste and not exciting enough. I didn't want to be part of the travel and tourism and hospitality. I really wanted to do design. And at the point when I was looking for universities and what to study, I was stuck because it was either interior design, and I knew I didn't want to do that, although I love interiors, or hospitality and management. So I went in a completely different direction and I decided to explore. I was undecided for a couple of years, and then I went through geology, archaeology, music history, art history, and I finally ended up with carving my own, which is very typical of me, carving my own degree, which was a degree of early childhood behavior with an emphasis in art and music, to eventually, and I had gotten accepted to a very prestigious Ivy League school in America to continue doing art history as well as art therapy, which I actually thought I would love to do if I didn't do events.
Did that come in handy with dealing with clients?
Absolutely, absolutely. It came in handy in two things. It came in handy because it taught me patience. When you're part of the School of Education, the first thing that they do is you monitor how children learn. And when any person, be it a children or adult, come to something new, a part of their life that's going to be a little bit emotional, scary, a new beginning, just like children, adults, we get scared. We need to be educated. We need to understand what's going to go on. So the education part taught me how to do that. And in aiding my clients and helping them understand the process and being patient and knowing it's scary, it's super emotional, it's stressful, especially in our part of the region. We have to please a lot of people, family are involved, and just knowing how to talk to them in a nice way without forcing them to do something, or telling them, لا ترى عادي عادي عادي, like the way sometimes dentists talk to us about pulling a tooth. It's like they do this every day. Yeah, but it's my tooth. It's my first time. I'm not ready for this. So that kind of gentle approach is very important, and that's what education really taught me. Absolutely.
And in the beginning, when you first graduated, did you decide to immediately go into this field, or did you work somewhere?
No, to be honest, I was actually very privileged to go to high school and university, and eventually possibly masters, all on my parents' bill. So I wasn't sponsored by الحكومة. So I actually felt a little bit of guilt because I was accepted to a very good prestigious school later. So I felt like, wow, يعني, do I do this? And kind of all the payment that was gone towards my education, do I kind of put it away? So I thought of going into the field in the beginning. It's not out of guilt, it's also out of like, I also loved doing this, but I didn't want to waste all those years, or what I felt in the beginning as wasteful. But eventually I understand where my passion and my heart lied. I had a good conversation with my parents, and they told me just to kind of follow my heart, but be realistic. And you don't do it just like this, like try to get a job. So I was like, okay, in the beginning, let me get a job with a hotelier. So I started with Raya. I worked with them pre-ballroom opening, so it was the biggest ballroom in Kuwait. I was part of the opening. It was really exciting, and I got to learn all the back end of the weddings. What I did was I got to see the biggest planners, and at the time, 2005, 2006, 2007, we were bringing in huge planners from all over the world, be it France, Lebanon, Egypt, and London, and the States. So having the privilege to see the back end was amazing, and I had a good time there, but I kind of knew automatically that hospitality and hotels is not my thing. So I actually went back to AUB to continue a little bit of my degree. I wanted to go back to school because I wasn't ready to make that decision. Alhamdulillah, I finished. I got my second degree, and then I came back to Kuwait, and I was like, I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'd like to explore more in the creative field. So I did a career course in floristry in London, a full 3-month course, the ins and outs of everything from purchasing to designing to creating to budgeting to making flowers and pulling them down. That kind of opened my eyes to, Nella, I definitely love the creative part of this field. I definitely love the working with my hands physically. And then I came back to Kuwait, worked with Lanot for 3 years, had a wonderful experience there, and finally felt I'm ready enough. And more I felt I was ready enough, clients kept on reaching out to me and wanting me to do their events. So I felt like, no, I'm ready to branch on my own, and that's how it started.
And then you decided to step into the event planning
That's true.
on a large scale. And at that time, it was kind of reserved for men, and sometimes even more so foreigners, who were doing the events here. So stepping in as one woman, and then a Kuwaiti woman who maybe was unheard of here. How was that?
It was really interesting. So I would say what helped was that, what really helped was the years I had at Lanot. I was there for quite a long time. And people met me through their smaller events, through their dinner parties, through their engagements, through their milchas. And so, yes, it was new for me to be in the weddings, but it wasn't new for me to be in the industry. And we're very privileged in our society. We support each other. So people really wanted to support me in the beginning. One of my first projects was actually one of my biggest projects. And I just jumped from like small dinners to a wedding of 350 people in a tent, And that was because people believed in me. And I also think I had a good track record in Le Notre. I was a good in between catering and the creative. So they trusted me, they saw that, they were comfortable. And I think from the beginning, I was always honest. I was honest, and I was able to tell them, if things were possible or not. I felt that there were a little bit hurdles. People in the beginning maybe used to feel reserved in terms of they were shy to tell me their budgets. And I don't think that was because of the budget. I think it was can we trust that she won't tell other people? Is our business put in confidence? Of course, we don't sign NDAs with clients. If they ask, of course we do, especially my international clients. We do that. Here, people don't do that. But it takes a long time for them to trust you. So I felt time after time, it's all through word of mouth. In the beginning, I was doing a lot of cousins, not mine, but method. I get a bride, then I do her cousin, then I do her cousin's cousin, then I do her in-law. So they all, through word of mouth, understood that they could trust me, that I was there, I was working with my hands, I was literally out there through the setup and the event, and I felt that created a confidence that helped me move along the way,
And then when it came to support from the family, obviously there was moral support, but then more so was there financial support?
Absolutely. There was, I wish I had the moral support because, and I won't lie, in the beginning I used to be like very upset that I had to work 6 o'clock in the morning and I had to miss out on events and I had to, my friends' events and even like trips. I was very upset that sometimes I'd be like, what am I doing? Why am I unpacking boxes? Why am I doing this? That little, I would say little egotistical part switches on, but then it gets switched off. And I think what helped me balance that is my parents. They're very grounded and hardworking people. And they knew that my goal was to become something. So they helped me along the way. First, morally, telling me I can do it. As an artist, and many artists, we're not stable. It's very emotional. We go through emotional roller coasters. And we need this balance board of someone who can talk to us in reality, not make the situation bigger than it is, help us understand the reality. If something goes wrong, okay, how can you make it better? Don't be so hard on yourself. Khalas, you learned this time there was a mistake. What would you do better next time? So I had this soundboard that I could bounce off ideas and talk to without judgment. This was the first moral, and I think that's what helped me move to the next step and have the confidence that my father, Allah yarhamah, he invested in me. He gave me an amount of money that helped me do 2 things: get a warehouse and invest in a contracting and carpentry department. Then I really, really needed those 2 things to be able to excel and move forward with my career. And I was very privileged to have that.
So how did you decide to delve into the corporate world?
I wish it's very important to say it was never all by myself. So I'm very proud of the teams I have. I'm very privileged to have met people that have been able to support me. And I've learned, and I got this advice actually many times, and I hear this over and over again, but it just started to click a while ago, is always hire people who are better than you. Never hire people that you have to train. Always hire and collaborate with people that you can learn from, who have more experience. So once I started to put those wonderful people on board, I could take on those projects because you need focus. You need to think of safety. You need to think of logistics. You need to think of budgeting. You need to think of pleasing all the people around you. And then, and to me, the easiest part is the creativity. All of that is a huge issue. So, and operationally managing that. So putting the right team there and taking things very slowly and taking on what you can take on, not overloading yourself, is very important. So that's the first thing. Second of all is if I did not start having everybody in my own team, I would have never been able to control the quality. I've been in many situations where the quality has failed me when I've outsourced from people and it has become disasters. I've had things fall apart. I've had things break and I can't control. But at the end, because I'm the hired person and I'm the one whose face is in it, I get blamed. So I started realizing is that, to this day, there are companies I outsource because I'm not an expert in lighting, I'm not a tent supplier, I'm not in sound, I'm not in tech. I go and find the best people for that. But anything in my realm, like, no, I can talk carpentry, this is my world, so I would rather have it under my watch, and so I can ensure that there's never, ever any, what's called shortcuts with quality. لأن that could cause a huge problem. It could actually ruin you if you have a huge, issue one day.
To reach that point where you're managing so many people requires specific skills that you needed to develop.
Right.
What would you say are the most important skills to have as a person if you're doing all of that?
The most important skill, and I think the most important skill that you should have is know what your own limits are. Because we all have limits. We want to be this wonderful person, but the first thing you have to do is learn how to say no. This is really important. You have to say no. You have to pick and choose the projects that work with you and that you know you can excel in. The second thing they have to do is plan. And not just plan for everything to be perfect, but have a plan B and possibly a plan C. And learn to pre-think that in a very honest way, and even allow and go into financials and look at, like, I have to have a reserved amount. I can't spend my profit off the beginning. I have to have a reserved amount because something could go wrong. Could go wrong, from weather or something absolutely out of my control, or there could be a problem where like we learned in COVID, 2 of my staff could get COVID. So I need to outsource. الoutsource هم راح يكلفني. It's going to cost me. So I need to know that. So these are all skills, I think, learning how to manage yourself in disasters, learning how to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, but at the same time, learning how to control and keep your cool. Because this is what I've learned, that even there are times where I play it cool, but I go behind the back and I start crying uncontrollably, or sitting in my car because I'm just so stressed and I need to release that tension. But you wipe your tears, you listen to a happy song, put on some lipstick, you go back and you become a good leader, because your team need that support and they need that guidance, and that'll help them push through any problem.
And that's dealing with your team. But when you're dealing with a client, have you ever been in a situation where clients can be a bit, maybe, let's say, mentally, emotionally abusive, because there's that assumption, I'm paying you, you work for me.
Right.
How do you deal with those situations?
This is how, and this goes back to what I studied, is I know that there's no one horrible. There's no one bad. They don't mean to be rude. They don't mean to say what they're trying to say. There's something triggering them. So what I try to do is read between the lines. What is bothering them? Sometimes it has nothing to do with me. Sometimes the bride's just really upset because her prova didn't go well, so she's taking it out on me. Sometimes the clients want something so much, but their budget doesn't allow. So whatever I give them, they're angry at. They're not angry at me, they're angry because they can't get what they want, because they want something over their budget. So what I try to do as much as I can is to not react. Try to look between the lines, try to figure out what's triggering them and try to address that. But also create boundaries. It's not because I want to be so mean and control, or it's not like that at all, but it's to protect the process, because some people think changing one thing means nothing, but it changes the whole process of the event. And we have to go back and adjust so much. So it actually might cost them more. And I always try to explain that to them. So I think having outsourcing wonderful lawyers, having them teach me about contracts and legal terms, and then sitting with my clients and going through these contracts and sitting there, did you read this? Did you see this? Do you know that if something happens, this will happen, or this is how many changes? I might get less business than I used to, but the business I get is so good. And starting off with this trust and understanding of what we're both gonna get actually lets me create better.
So you give the client all this rest for them, and you do all the planning.
Yes.
But even with the best kind of plan, sometimes things happen where even your plan goes out the window.
Absolutely.
What are those challenges?
I've had mud, I've had floods, we've had dust storms, we've had, actually my first wedding that I ever had, it was May 6th or May 16th. Sorry, my memory's not as good as it used to be. My beautiful bride, Dalia, we had an outdoor wedding. And right before the bride and groom were gonna come to cut the cake, ما أدري, the weather just flipped. The wind picked up Lenot's buffet, and literally it was like a scene of a horror movie. It picked it up, I saw the food go up, and it went right and it fell into the pool, and we just looked. And there was nothing. Thank God that we had a Saj station and a pasta station, because that's all anyone could have. And we just looked, but there was nothing. Even if we had a closed cover tent, the wind would have still picked up the tent. We had like beautiful decorative umbrellas. They were in the pool. As the bride and groom were walking, thank God it was a little bit far, we were pulling the roses off the bouquets and snatching them and pushing them shwaya on top of the salad and the food اللي على الpool, just to look like we tried, and it looked like flowers or greenery. يعني it was a disaster. But things like that happen. This, you know, like the way they look to you as the guidance. So when you're laughing, not laughing in a sarcastic way, but when you're smiling and you're telling that it's gonna be fine, things like this happen, whatever, the mood was okay, that even Lenot in 45 minutes was able to get other food and we served it a bit late. So it was like a tasbira, have some saj, have some pasta till the food comes. So because the energy was good and we were able to keep our cool and the Lenot team did a great job, we were managed. And I mean, we have countless situations like this, but I just think it's like, but that was my first wedding. But now, like, we have plan A's and plan B's for that. So.
And on the flip side, what would you say were the best moments or the things you always remember that you are very proud of?
I'm very proud when I get asked to speak about the region internationally. In 2013, I went to Palm Beach, Florida, this beautiful resort called The Breakers, where it's like the creme de la creme of all the weddings of the States in the South. They do their weddings there. And this lady sitting next to me, and I wasn't invited to speak, I was just attending the conference because I love going to event conferences. And this lady sat next to me, she's like, "Where's Kuwait from? Where are you from?" I'm like, "Kuwait." She's like, "Oh, is that in California?" I'm like, "No, it's in the Middle East." She's like, "Oh my God, oh, you have really lavish weddings there. You spend millions. Don't you find that wasteful?" So I was like, "Yeah, it's my mission to change this idea." So, and she was nice. I talked to her, she wasn't, but it's just that idea that everyone in the Middle East spends millions on their weddings. Everyone has these extravagant parties where the women are like shwaya, like forced into the marriage. I really felt that as much as I love talking about my creativity and design, I felt it's become my mission in the past, like from Sardinia to going to India, to going all over the world. When I speak about Kuwait, I talk about how we also have small, meaningful weddings, how we are allowed to also choose our partners, where the bride is the one who comes up with all decisions for the wedding, where the women are empowered. And I feel that lately, like, I have changed that mindset, and a lot of my peers, the girls who are working in our industry in the GCC, have also done that. So to me, that's something so important to me. Second is when clients are so happy, they hug me because I made her day so happy. And she's like, "I didn't feel a thing. I felt all the effort was you. You even helped us do the menu." And I'm like, I love that. And to me, that's not really hard work. It's very easy. The hard work is when people interfere in my job. That feeling, like any bride, it's not like, I wouldn't say it's about big wedding, small wedding budget. It's when the bride is just so happy because she can really focus on the rest of her life. And it's just the first beautiful occasion. I feel like, okay, this is a wonderful start to it. Yeah.
And then how do you feel about when you walk into a wedding and you see it's a carbon copy of your work?
Yeah.
But then someone else did it for cheaper.
Right. Well, in the beginning, I used to get upset. I used to get upset not for myself, but I used to get upset for my client because they've paid us a design fee to create this concept. But I also now understand that I'm flattered. Thank you. Because I make it a point, we never repeat a concept, ever. Nothing is repeated. If someone wants some chinoiserie, we'll do it in a different way. We will not take the same thing. And I know some planners do repeat the stage with just a little bit of different flowers or they reupholster the stage, and that's beautiful. But what I want to do is create a unique experience for someone. So when I create a unique experience, the one I did before is done. So it's okay. I'm happy. It means we're doing something right. It's when you don't get copied. They say, if you don't get copied, that's when you should be getting worried.
Yeah. But you've also in the past have passed on jobs to other designers. And is that support? Is that something you feel you need to be doing?
I think I do. I think the industry has to start becoming professional, like the rest of the world. The rest of the world, this is an actual job. There are contracts just for this. People are respected for their ideas. Then there's something very, very important about what I do. In the rest of the world, you have a wedding planner, and then you have a wedding designer. A wedding planner outsources the right people. She says, Taiba, your wedding's coming up. I think from the style that you want, this is the caterer that works with you. This is the thing. This is the florist. This is your decorator. This is your designer. And she basically orchestrates it and manages it for you. This is a planner. Then you have designers, and designers come in and then they create the entire concept for you. So this is something very important. And in Kuwait, we have those and we have those, but they're all piled in as one. Second is, there are some people that come to me whose style is not my style. Or they come to me at a time that I'm too busy. And like I said, I've learned to say no. Before I used to work myself to the bone. Now I want to give a better job to my clients and to myself. So I pass work on. Someone in the beginning, people would be like, did you just refer? What is this? Why are you giving me this client? And I'd be like, "La, you would do a much better job." And slowly, the people that I started referring people to have become my friends in the industry. We support each other. In COVID, all of us were missing staff. All of us didn't know how to get flowers from Holland. All of us didn't have truck drivers or cars because العمالة left. Our teams became, a lot of people feared for their families. They left the country. So there are times I had a wedding and I didn't have staff. I didn't have laborers to help me. Now I feel comfortable. I can call فلان وفلان, call them, be like, do you have extra staff? Yes, احنا ما عندنا wedding. Here, how much is their charge? I'll pay for their time. It's become comfortable. Before, I felt like we were all our islands, our own people, and no one would talk. It was so competitive. But because I feel like now, slowly, I just feel the market is bigger. People are a little bit more comfortable. People have started to figure out, I know who my clients are, my style. I have my own voice. Someone that isn't, there's someone else for that. So I feel that it was difficult in the beginning to do referrals, but now it's not so much, and it's accepted without it having being second guessed.
I know you do courses and other speaking engagements,
yes.
But do you also do mentoring for people who are entering the field who are new?
It's very hard to give time to interns when your time is for your clients and work. And especially in the past 2 years, I've literally been in survival mode. But inshallah, I'm going to have a second masterclass, hopefully next year again. And then I will start a program which is mentorship over the summer, when I feel like I'll have the time and do it properly with a proper course plan, goals, and be able to monitor them and actually attend and see their events and help them out with that. I want to give more. So I wanted to do it at a time where I feel like I'm emotionally ready and I have the time to give them.
So for a young girl looking to enter this world or any world,
right?
Interior design, event planning, starting a business, any of those, what would be your advice?
First, my advice would be try to take as many internships and try to get as much experience working for a large corporation, because something very important that we all need to learn is teamwork. Without learning how to work with people not just from your own society, from others, from other nationalities, how to be sensitive to that, you won't go, because you need to create a support team. And when you're not aware of how to deal with people, you will never have that. Second advice is, after you get at least 3 to 4 years of experience working, second advice is to find your own voice, because you can get lost, and I've been there. You want to just please your clients. You'll do whatever they ask you to do, even if it's something you don't like and you look back and you cringe at. That's not a good place to be, because if you don't love your work, you won't have the confidence to keep pushing to do better. So experience, finding your own voice, finding what makes you you. And then the third is to have legal and financial advice, because as creatives, we don't know how to balance money. We'll always, the project and the end look is the most important. And sometimes you've gone through all the cash to do that, and you aren't left with reserve for bad days. You aren't left with how are you going to cover your overheads between Ramadan to the end of the summer. You've got 5 months where you're not working. So 7 months of working, 5 months where you're not, has to be balanced. Forecasting orders and understanding that when you order things, it gets produced in 3 months, and then if you ship them, it'll take another 6 weeks, and then it's going to be in the jamarik for a while. If you don't have someone helping you through that and understanding your cash flow, you're going to be very stressed. And when you're focused on finances and operation, you won't be able to be creative. And I've been there, and it's a horrible place to be. So when you hire people, or what's lovely now is you don't have to hire people. You have advisors, you have consultants, you have online advisors, you have programs that can help you do this so that you're always in a better position to create. Because at the end of the day, you are a creative. If you're not good, which me, I'm terrible at numbers. If you're not good at numbers, have a team that can support you so you can always do your best forward. Yeah.
Maybe you're an inspiration.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure you inspire so many people. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.